Welcome to Directly to You. It's the 88th episode. 98th. See, I did it. I knew it. I thought to myself, I was like, there was an 8. And
I wasn't even paying
88.
attention because I was like, oh, he's going to get it right.
I just knew it was going to happen. I just knew it was going to happen. But anyway, it's the 98th episode of Directly to You. What is that? That's our podcast. Who are we? fanatixfour. I'm AJ. I'm joined by Parker. And we're collectively joined by Ian from OK Beast. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But before we can do that, we got to do housekeeping. You can support this channel by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour and paying $4.99. What do you get for that? You get exclusive emotes, you get gaming time with us, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get loyalty badges, and access to our supporters on Discord. Also, since I'm in the process of buying a new computer because every time I stream on Twitch, everything blows up because I use a Mac, I'm going to, instead of streaming, chill out with the community and the supporters voice chat in our Discord at least once a week. We're going to play games, talk about stuff. It's going to be a great time. If you want to be a supporter, that's another reason to do it. But you can join our Discord regardless by clicking the link in the description, and we can talk about other stuff in the text chat, you know.
Only the bad things go to text chat.
Yeah.
True. The secret things are in text chat.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, what are you guys playing and doing with your lives?
Can I ask you a question about the housekeeping thing you just said?
Go for it.
So I love coming on the show, by the way, because I really get to show other people how miserable it is to work with me. Because as soon as I started talking, I was like, oh, wait, I can't do a cuss on this show. And I have to delete like 90% of my past sentence and then rewrite it as I'm talking. So you say that there's many ways people supporting you. If someone saw you in real life, like at a PAX East, and then just walked up and handed you an envelope of like $5, is that kosher? Is that okay?
Man, I'm down for that.
I will take envelopes of cash.
Yes.
Nice. I really now all I want is like at a future convention, like a big person walks up to you, just hands you, like they're in a nice suit, and they they have an earpiece, they hand you an envelope, it just says support, and then just open it up, and it's like a nice letter from Target. It's like a nice message, and then $5.
Or even if it's like they just pay in advance, they're like, "Here's my year's membership," and
that's crazy.
I'm down, man. If you guys see me at PAX, or Parker, who's also going to be at PAX,
what? I will.
That's going to be awesome.
Are you going to?
We're trying to figure things out right now. Again, the year has been pretty crazy, so we're trying to figure out what the next step of stuff is going to be.
Hey, man,
gonna do a big old maybe on that one.
Hey, man, do it.
I've been reaching out to other content creators that I know. Like, I don't know a ton of other content creators that I actually talk to, but I reached out to pretty much all of them. Like, are you going? And are you going? Just because it's like, it's fun to know who's going to be at places and who I can get to talk to and stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to East ever. Did I ever tell you guys the story about how I was almost going to go to East, but it didn't work out?
No.
When? Last year?
No, this was like many years ago. This is before I moved to Japan. It was like before I was even like doing any OKB stuff or even making videos or whatever. It was like years and years ago. So I bought the ticket to go to PAX East, and I live and grew up in New Jersey, and like North New Jersey to Boston is like a couple hours, like 3 to 5-ish hours.
Right.
So let's say I'm like 80% of the way there, and I was working at a hospital at the time. I get 80% of the way there. I'm like, oh man, I need to get some gas. Let me go and get my wallet out. I get my wallet out, and for some reason, I guess I was like buying something online the day before. I had taken my credit card out or my debit card out to buy whatever, probably The Witcher 3, I don't know. And then cut to me in the car, don't have my debit card. I have just enough money to get my car filled up to drive back to New Jersey.
Wow.
As I'm driving back. And also, what am I going to do if I have like literally $20 in cash at a convention?
Yeah.
Walk in and that's it? Like nothing. So then I drive like the other 90% of the way back. I'm about to pull into my house, and then my work calls me and says, oh, we have an emergency. You need to come into work. And I'm like, no, it's my day. I literally have been driving for like 8 hours. And they're like, no, literally you're the only person who can do it. Everyone else is either sick or whatever, or not even in the country. And I'm like, okay, you're, oh. And then the cat just jumped over. And then that was the story that I didn't go to PAX East, even though I've been to more PAX Wests, even though I grew up in New Jersey on the East Coast, and not that far from Boston.
I never been to PAX West. I was considering going last year, but you know what? I already told you, I'm down.
It's a good time. It's a very good time.
I was considering because I wanted to go to E3 last year, but then it just didn't make sense with what Nintendo was going to do and all that stuff. It was just like no, it's not worth it. And then after the whole thing happened with E3 last year, where they doxed everybody that applied, I was like, yeah, no, I'm never going to E3 again. Never not happening. They're not getting anything from me.
Hear me out though. You go to E3, air quotes, and then you actually don't go.
See, but
and then we just hang out in LA together.
This is what I was getting to. I was going to substitute E3 with PAX West.
Oh, I thought you were going to say E3 with E in. And I was like, that's
I'm also
my
down.
name.
I'm also down to just come and hang out. I'm also down with that. But I was talking about that. As far as PAX West is concerned, I'm considering that a lot more than I was before. But yeah, I want to do more conventions just generally. Because like at first, I didn't do any. And then I started doing PAX East and Too Many Games. And now that's consistent. So I want to add more to that.
Too Many Games is in Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
Nice.
It's
Very
fun.
cool.
It's a good time.
Nice.
But mostly Too Many Games is like PAX East is kind of like a thing where it's like, I want to just hang out or whatever. But also there's like a work element to that because like Nintendo comes to that. But Too Many Games is exclusively like, I'm just going to hang out. I'm not really working there because they don't really, it's not really that sort of thing. But speaking of playing games, are you guys playing any currently?
Am I? Are you guys competitive game people at all?
I played Smash.
Okay, I'm gonna really roast myself right now. So when I got my new computer, I similar to you, AJ, I kind of got this whole editing rig together and streaming rig, and it's like really awesome. But the problem is that computers contain the forbidden program known as League of Legends, the dark program that you can only summon when you want to be enraged at people on the internet. So I've been playing that.
I saw you guys streaming that. What, like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. So here's the thing: is that I like played League a whole like another lifetime ago when I was in college, and I used to play it with a bunch of my boys or whatever. But I have very bad impulse control when it comes to games. So like I would play League and then I would blink and then it would be 5 o'clock in the morning and I would have to go to class in 3 hours. So when I moved to Japan and like had to leave all my PC stuff in the US, I was like, you know what? Cold turkey. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm done. And you know what that was? That was the best 4 years of my life. And then my MacBook wasn't strong enough to run League. So I was like, hey, I have a built-in excuse. I have to be a different type of gamer. I need to evolve. And then cut to this editing rig. And the person who I'm working with in LA, like I'm kind of like interning at this studio right now, trying to learn more editing skills and transition more into like the video producing field officially, as opposed to doing it on the side. And he works in esports. And and he's like, yo, dude, like me and a couple of the boys are playing League tonight. You trying to play? And I like start sweating, and I'm like, and I'm like, well, in my brain, I'm like,
back in.
pretty much. Well, I'm like, also like, it's technically a work thing because everyone that I'm playing with is in the industry that I want to break into, and also technically, it's my boss who's asking me to play. So I'm sitting here like, yeah,
it's like, it's a work requirement at this point.
I'll play League, I guess. And then here we are. But besides League, I'm playing a bunch of Temtem on the iPad. If you guys know what that is,
no clue.
You don't? Okay, are you card game people at all, or?
In real life,
I have Yu-Gi-Oh on my Nintendo Switch system.
Okay.
Is it like a deck building kind of card game?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing: is that I'm not a card game person. I like AJ. I was a Yu-Gi-Oh person growing up in middle school and stuff. I played a little bit of the Pokemon card game, but overall, like I think that genre has a lot of like bloat, and it inherently, the more things that get added to it, right, like the DLC or the packs or whatever, it only further blocks newer people from getting involved.
Right.
Because there are like, oh, I can win. I mean, everyone knows the YouTube video of like winning a Yu-Gi-Oh game in one turn, essentially, right?
Yeah,
I assume everyone's seen this.
That becomes more and more the meta now. It's like if your deck can't win in one turn, you're probably going to lose. I'm sorry about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like with the introduction of Hearthstone, like people really jumped on that in the beginning because, oh, it's this new thing. It's fresh. There's not a lot to know. Okay, there's different strategies. And it became more of a thing of like, oh, it's more based off of the meta of the cards, like what strategies people are implementing and not necessarily you need to own every single card or else you're like going to lose instantly. So what Temtem did is it kind of took it took the simplicity and active nature of fighting games and made it into a card game. So you have, instead of like 5 placemats and having it be turn-based, it's actually active battle system with MP. So you take like, it's so hard to describe this game, guys. I've tried to do it so many times and I feel like I fail every time. There's 3 spaces. You can put cards down there, right? And you have a hero or a champion or whatever you want to call it, a fighter. And the fighters and all the cards are based off of Capcom properties. So like literally one of the main hero people is Ryu. There's Mega Man.
There's some Monster Hunter stuff in there too, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. One of my
Rathalos
friends like really wanted to get into it, but because he couldn't, and the only Capcom property he really cared about was Monster Hunter, and like really cared about Monster Hunter.
Wait,
and
so is this Mitch?
It's Mitch, 100%. Yeah. And the only reason he didn't keep playing it was because he couldn't build a fully Monster Hunter deck.
Oh, okay.
He totally would have.
Well, Mitch, I'm sorry, bud. I don't know. I was like, oh, well, he knows about Resident Evil. Everyone knows about that.
I mean, he knows about them, but he's like, I mean, forget those. We got Monster Hunter.
I just like how you say Resident Evil, because like you put an emphasis on
the
different part than most anybody
Resident
does.
Evil.
Yeah,
here's the thing. My comedy is like, I don't do things to make people laugh. I do things for my own self-satisfaction. And you can see that really on my Twitter feed, where I'll be bored, like waiting for a video to encode or whatever, and I'll scroll through my own feed and I'll be like, that's a good one.
Like, I mean, you literally made a tweet like, what, 25 minutes ago? That I feel like was one of those.
Which one? I said I do this for our 4 gamers before us.
Yeah, it was like,
I will not be silenced.
It was like the tweet that preceded that, where
Nintendogs is the game of the decade.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. But anyway, Teppen. Teppen is. I feel like you would like this, AJ, because it very much has like a fighting game. It has fighting game mechanics, but just slowed down. Right. Okay. So like, when you're playing my greatest fighting game experience, or like most knowledge, is in Street Fighter, right? So again, someone's going in for a high damage combo, you block it and you kind of counter it. There's kind of those sort of feelings when you're playing Teppen. Like someone places down a card, there's a little red line that goes, and it slowly goes across the screen, and you have enough time to counter it by putting down your own card or doing parry effects or whatever. Essentially, yeah. There's like cards that are dedicated to adding shields, and those are technically parries. You can like bounce things around. It's very, very cool. But my favorite thing about it is it's extremely accessible. And matches, this is probably the best thing for all 3 of us, because I know that, or at least with me, and I feel like you guys are my kindred spirits, so I assume you guys think the same way, that games are not allowed to go longer than 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So the longest, most games for me end in like 2 or 3 minutes. So like, it's the perfect, like, oh, I'm hanging out, I'm waiting for something to export or whatever, or I'm waiting for someone to like, show up to something, like we're waiting in like a lobby of a hotel. Yep. I start playing it, and then, oh, I'm done. Oh, wait, cool. We're ready to go.
Especially for phone games or whatever too, where like that's kind of the MO, is doing things in between other things. Cause like I like to have a game or 2 on my phone, but it's always just to be able to pass the time. If I don't want to actually boot up my Switch and play something for 20 minutes or something. It's just like, I don't know, 5 minutes here or there. So that's nice.
Are you Devil May Cry people as well?
Not really.
Kind of. I was gonna say, well, Dante and Nero are characters that they're deck building characters.
I know who those characters are.
I highly hey, well,
Smash does not.
I was like, when Dante gets into Smash 25 years from now,
yeah,
you're gonna want to know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said it last week on this show, it's like I kind of don't want them anymore. Like when somebody brought it up and was like Dante and Smash, I was like, yeah, I'm down for that. But then once it became a thing where everybody was like using it as like a gatekeeping sort of thing, where it's like, oh, he's going to be the next character, and everybody that says anything else is wrong. I'm like, I don't want it to ever happen now. Ever.
Yeah. So this is the thing. We were, and I assume you guys had the same conversation when Byleth was like announced. We talked about it on our show, and I kind of like voiced my frustrations about Byleth. Even though I was a huge fan of Three Houses, and I'm a huge fan of like fighting game drops in Smash Brothers. My whole argument, and I felt like it was coming from an intellectual place of like, hey, this game has so many characters already, right? And this game has a lot of Fire Emblem characters. So in my head, if the Three Houses game was going to be represented, the best way for me was to just literally have it be a Pokemon trainer style thing, Like, I think AJ and I talked about it as well in the DMs about like, oh, you can choose between each 3 by doing down, and then you can kind of bring in like long range for this person, or you can have, the lance from the Blue Lions leader or whatever. Or just do a thing where, hey, fighter pass, this one's going to take, like, it'll be the last one of the next fighter pass, and we get 3 characters instead of 1, right? That would make people lose their minds. And then just to have Byleth where it's like, hey, it's the main character. And who's the main character? You know, just like a teal-haired oatmeal person, like not really much going on. And
it's like the meme. It's like Marth number 5 or something like that. Like there's so many like blue-haired Fire Emblem characters.
I mean, I think definitely you've got more of an emotional attachment during the game to the house leaders, because like those are the ones, I mean, maybe not to all of them, like I don't care anything about Edelgard, really.
How dare you?
Because I was Golden Deer, so like Claude all the way.
I agree.
I mean, hey, there's only one right way to play that game, and it's Golden Claude Deer. and then the other ones you can play if you're bored. I don't know, like
I guess.
See, I couldn't do Claude. Okay, I don't want to go too deep into this.
Oh no, is this a long standing?
It's
debate?
not long. It's not long. It's just we already talked about which houses we did in our justification.
And you were Edelgard.
Yeah, I went with Edelgard. I don't even remember specifically why. Oh, that was why. I talked to everybody in all the houses, and I thought about like, and it's ironic because I thought about like how the vibe that they all gave me, and I freaking went with in Claude's house, and how he told I was down with everybody else, but he just kind of seemed like he had a rebellion.
Kind of seemed sus. Yeah,
it seemed like he was going to kill somebody that I thought was.
Yeah. Isn't the first thing he's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to poison everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, nah, man, I'm not down with that.
And I saw that, and I was like, mood, let's poison people. And then I joined his squad. But yeah, like the thing that frustrated me, which I assume like Parker and you, AJ, as well, like these characters, the main characters in almost all of the Fire Emblem games, they're not characters, they're avatars, right? Like things happen to your character, right? But there's a reason why the default face on male Byleth is just this. Just like, you can't see, this is an audio format, right? But like my eyes are closed.
Also video, youtube.com/directly to you.
Oh no, well, you guys see my dirty house.
And we got to see your cat. So
the cat literally,
you know what,
that outweighs any dirtiness.
This is going to be the most viewed directly to you by the law of YouTube.
I'll take a photo of Luna and just give it to you, and you can put it in the thumbnail, just like a surprise cat.
Nice.
But yeah, no, that was just kind of the frustrating thing, and like I said that in the bubble of our show, right, of the OK Beast podcast, and then I kind of stepped back and I went back to the cesspool of the internet. Everyone was like, "Oh man, Byleth this, Byleth that," and I was like, "Oh no, guys, like you can be mad about it if you're like actually thinking about it, but if you're just saying it's bad because it's bad, then you're not any better than people saying it's good because it's good.
You're just defeating the purpose of it all." And I was in the same boat where it's like, I feel the whole thing of like, oh, there's too many Fire Emblem characters, and I think it more so spawns from like relative relevance to the overall like gaming history or whatever, right? Like there's just as many Fire Emblem characters as there are Pokemon. And that's wild, dude.
I'm not even surprised, honestly.
Because I accept it on one end because it's like, I mean, Sakurai makes this game. If he I do, and I think I've talked about this before, where it's like I do exactly that on this channel, where it's like there's times when I know people want a specific video, and I'm like, but I'd rather make this right now because this is what I am passionate about at the moment. So Sakurai being like, well, this is the game I care about. I'm fine with him throwing 1 or 2 characters there from games he likes every once in a while. That's fine.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of I don't know who said this. I think it might have been the Super Best Friends or Castle Super Beast on YouTube. They said the way that they do videos, and it really resonated with me, is it's one for you, being the audience, 1 for me, being the creator, and then 1 for us, essentially, and then repeat that over and over again. Where it's like, hey, I don't care if anyone watches this one's for me. And then the next one's like, hey, I don't want to do this one's for y'all. And then the third one is like, hey, let's come to the middle. Maybe you guys don't know about Wonderful 101, and I like Wonderful 101. Let's come to the table and make something that we can all benefit from. So I feel like maybe that's what's happening in the Smash world, is that he had a 1 for me.
Exactly. And I'm down.
Have you seen the popularity polls as well? I know that we're going down a deep tangent. See, this is my brain.
See,
right
there's no news, so we're just going to cut.
There's no news. Perfect. All right.
There's no news.
So here we are. So have you seen the popularity polls? I think Bob posted it.
Yes.
Where it's
US was like
top 3 for. Yeah, and Europe was it the other one?
Yeah, Europe is buck wild because number 7 is Agumon, and I was like, "Yo, I'm moving to UK right now. I don't care what's happening over there. If they got Agumon in the top 10, that's my people over there."
Yeah.
But so I saw that, and like you see a lot in the Japan polls, it's like they have a case of main character syndrome. Is that like all those games? You look at I think they have the main character from Xeno, the most recent Xenoblade game.
Rex.
Rex and Myra.
Either that one or like there was a boy that was like all in red that I think is also from a Xenogears game that isn't Shulk or something.
You're talking about, I think Lloyd. I think you're talking about Lloyd, and he's from
one of those. Yeah. And like every character I saw on the Japan list, I was like, Japan, I love you. I lived in this country for many years, but you're wrong. Like these characters are nothing, right? Like they're like maybe the icons of their games, but they are the least interesting from them, right? Like do you guys ever play Persona?
No.
Parker, do you guys know what Persona is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole thing in Persona is the main character, Persona 5 obviously.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, I have to relate it back to Nintendo somehow. I'm like, people want Persona 5 on Switch, right? Joker's in Smash, right? So Joker, do you know Joker's costume when you go all the way and it's like his last costume is like a red mask instead? It's like all white. So that costume is based off a character in Persona 5. And he is the not antagonist necessarily, but he's another character, an opposing force in that world. His story is 100 times more interesting than the main character, right? But Japan sensibility,
not as recognizable or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Same thing with like An and Ryuji, and I mean, like even the cat, right? Like the majority of the characters in these Japanese titles have more resonant stories, I think, with like the general populace. But it seems as though like, oh man, we want the main guy.
We want the guy on the box.
We want Mario. We want Link. We want Donkey Kong. I don't know why Japanese people suddenly got a Brooklyn accent.
It's
Japan is the Brooklyn of Asia.
All I'm saying is you said Mario in a way that will upset Bob because the A wasn't
Mario.
You didn't go.
Wait, how does he say it? Mario.
He says it closer to that. Yeah.
Mario.
Yeah.
Is Bob Italian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. I'm from New Jersey and Bob's Italian. Two cultures that do not follow the normal rules of the English language. So anyone could be right. Anyone could be wrong.
Right. I think everybody's wrong.
Hey,
honestly,
it's a good way of thinking. So what's next on the agenda? What are you playing, Parker and or AJ?
We're probably playing the same stuff as always, but have you, one of the things that we were going to talk about too was Temtem, because that came out for early access this week. Neither of us have played it yet, but it sounds like maybe you have, and I think, I don't know. So Temtem, let's talk about it.
Now I know why I have been summoned from my gamer basement.
Okay, full transparency. The reason why you were summoned is because #fanatixfoods, which we'll get into.
Oh, no. There are other reasons why I've been summoned to the gamer
also, exactly. But also, once the whole Temtem situation was happening, I'm seeing reactions and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? Ian would be a good person to talk to about this too. So it just all worked out, Yeah. Sometimes I'm a psychic and I don't even know it. Man.
You're a psychic type. So Temtem. There are a lot of things about it I think that both of y'all will like, okay? Because I remember when we talked last time, I know AJ's been playing the mess out of the Pokemon. And I know that when we were talking about before, Parker, we were talking about how you were kind of like, in between, you were like hesitant. You were kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing. I think that Temtem might be the perfect game that marries both of the things that you want together. The, I guess, core conceits of the game are the majority of the battles you do are double battles. Which thus kind of lends more competitive nuance to it and also makes that sort of the content that you're kind of interacting with a little bit wider instead of deeper, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I'm using a reference to a thing that you guys weren't on, so this doesn't make sense. But what I mean by that is that our biggest complaint over at OK Beast was that when Pokemon came out, I was super excited about it, right? But I've been in this game for like forever, right? Yeah. So to me, like, and also AJ, because I talked to him about it a little bit, is like competitive Pokemon to me is fascinating. and I like look at YouTube videos and I'm like, oh man, like you use this item to reduce this thing by like 0.25%, and then you do this, like it becomes almost chess-like when you get to that highest level. But if you're not going to that highest level, there's really not that much in the majority of the modern Pokemon games for you, right? Post game is not really as much of a thing as it was maybe back in like Emerald or Ruby or whatever. And the thing is that there's not a wide berth of experiences, right? It's very deep, but most people don't get that deep into that sort of level of the complexity of the gameplay. So Temtem kind of went the opposite route. We're like, okay, it's an MMO. You can interact with tons of different people at the same time, right? Out the gate. That's the number one thing. Double battles, like we said before. So from the get-go, there are moves that will not work unless you are having another Temtem with you. There are moves where they like synergize with certain types. So like if you use like an electric Temtem and then I think it's like a water Temtem, there's like added benefits and bonuses to that sort of thing. So you're like already thinking
the
more deeply.
Attacks or whatever in
exactly,
Gen 5.
just like that. But that's like a main mechanic now in the game. What else? Roads and the world that you're like kind of traversing in the game are much bigger than the average Pokemon route from one place to another. And then there's a couple of other things, but those are like the main ones that like people are really talking about. I lied. That's not true. There's a like energy bar.
Oh,
like you don't have PP. You have like an exhaustion meter, essentially.
No.
And now like when you get to a certain level of exhaustion during gameplay, you have the option to, okay, if you have an enemy that's like 10% health or something, you can sacrifice some of your life instead of your exhaustion to do one more move. And also if you're, which
like a struggle kind of a move.
Exactly. Only you don't struggle. You're just doing the normal move at the sacrifice of your normal life. Yeah. And then the other added thing on that is that when you reach 0 exhaustion, you need to wait a whole turn before you can do anything. Hyper Beam rules. Yeah. So this game seems to be made by people that really understand what people want from Pokemon. And like what I mean people, I don't mean like just one type of fan. It seems like almost every fan that has any sort of gripe with Pokemon in the past 10 years, it's like they took all those into a spreadsheet and they're like, hey, let's make this into a game. I'm excited for it to be out of early access because it seems like right now there's some server problems. I mean, people seem to love the game, which means that there's a whole bunch of server load and that's causing some issues with people getting into it. But I've heard nothing but like good stuff in terms of the mechanical like baseline experience. So
yeah.
The thing that like it's hard for me to like.
Is it the design?
Well, partially the design, but the thing that I have issue with is less so the game and more so the people's reaction to the game. Where like the sentiment behind it,
it's a Dante thing all over again.
Yes, exactly.
AJ, what happened, dude? Like you're just summoning the bad gamers.
I'm gonna explain.
Teach
so
me where they come
Temtem
from.
as a game, I have no problem with that. I want to play it. I'm down to play the game, but how people like the whole sentiment behind it where it's like, man, Pokemon is garbage, dude. Here's something that's way better. Like everything is so much better. It's a way grander game. I would pay $60 for this. But if you look at it from a top-down view, there's a lot of stuff that if Pokemon did that, like even if they like reworked the battle system and they did all that stuff, more people would be mad than if they did what they did now, right? Like if people are upset about them taking out 600 Pokemon or whatever, if they went down to 75, the world would end, dude. Like it's just, there's a lot of stuff that I think it feels like a double standard, and people are saying like, well, the game's cheaper, but I feel like it still has less content than like the 3DS games do. And they're like, well, it's a small team, and it's like, yeah, Game Freak was a small team and you didn't account for that then. And then they're like, then they try to say, well, it's like, yeah, but Pokemon's a major property. And it's like, yeah, it's a major property, but it's a major property in different places than what you think it is. Like the game's not as big as you think the games are. They sell a lot, but they don't make as much money as you think they do because they're going in all different places. Like Game Freak's not getting the profit that you think they do.
Which is why they can't do half the things that people want them to do.
Exactly. And they also can't do the things that people want them to do because everybody in the Pokemon fan base is telling them different things.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like our friend Max from Loot Pots, he tweeted,
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. He tweeted something about how, well, he retweeted something that somebody was saying about like the Game Boy mechanics and stuff.
Here,
like
I can pull it up
the
real quick.
Game Boy mechanics? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, he's going to pull up the tweet.
Oh, okay,
I am going to pull up the tweet. Y'all don't even know.
Doing it right now.
It's going to happen.
Well, I mean, so while you pull that out,
Yeah.
I'm to kind of agree with both of you guys here. The reason why I like Temtem and the way that they're doing it is Temtem is like a small boat and Pokemon is a massive cruise liner, right? Being able to turn a small boat on a dime is very easy when you have three people and low expectations, right?
Right.
But Pokemon is a massive industry. It's iconic, right? So kind of like what AJ was saying, the majority of the money, and I feel like I might have said this last time I was on this show, the majority of the money made by Pokemon Company it's not even close in terms of the games. The games are like
less
the fourth.
than 25%. It's less than a fourth. Less.
And like what's the most expensive thing?
Is merchandising.
Merch.
Yep.
Yeah.
More specifically, plushie.
Yeah.
So think about that. So Pokemon, okay, that's the crazy thing is that Pokemon, the reason why the designs are so good is because if the designs aren't good and people don't buy the plushies, then that's 60% of their money
gone. It's done. The game is not even going to exist anymore, dude.
and I think that like when we're talking about games, like Pokemon Go has made more than Pokemon Sword and Shield will ever make, even if they were released on the same day.
It made more than the last like 3 games combined.
Exactly. So like that. And I know it kind of stinks because obviously, like, I know that all three of us are fans of the like mainline Pokemon games, and like we want things to change and get better. But like when you think about it with that cruise liner analogy, right? Yeah. So like the captain of the ship can't just like do a harsh right turn and go on the new island of new ideas, right? It needs to be a slow, gradual thing, and
especially if everybody on the boat is actually voting for different things anyway. So it's even if they feasibly could turn the ship, like.
Where do I turn
people would be mad about it.
Exactly. And that's the part that I take issue with. And I think that like when I talk about it on the internet with people and like, like chat and chats and stuff like that, they think that I'm saying that I don't like Temtem and I don't want to like Temtem and blah, blah. But it's more so I don't like the reaction and people bringing up, well, Pokemon sucks at this. I'm just saying, well, if Pokemon did exactly what Temtem did in this area that you say is so great, you would be mad at that too.
Or maybe they wouldn't. But
no, they would. They would because they were the same people complaining about the Pokemon deck size, like the Pokedex size in Sword and Shield, but they're fine with Temtem having 75.
So here's the quote real quick. It was somebody who Joe Foreman. Something like that. Said, at the risk of participating in more Pokemon discourse, I think the series' greatest failing over the last year's installments has been the tendency to preserve Game Boy design as if it's stuff people liked instead of stuff we all imagined our way through. Yeah. So that was the quote that and then Max retweeted it, and then you said some things.
Yes, I did. And basically, I think that guy put too much, any blame really, on Game Freak for that because I have made several videos, all with like combined different, like thousands of different people telling me that like I'm wrong for saying that they should move past those tenets that they're seeing.
This is prior Sword and Shield. This is like 2 years ago or whatever. No, I definitely remember watching those videos and then listening to the podcast where you respond to the comments where everybody's like, well, that wouldn't be Pokemon anymore if they changed that. But it's like that's the exact thing that you want now.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
But then that's the hard thing is like we were talking about before, like what is Pokemon? Pokemon is so big and has been around for so long that it's different things for everybody. Yeah. And like to me and probably to AJ, and again, Parker kind of bounces back and forth between the mainline games. Like the mainline games are Pokemon to me. But I'm sure a kid born in the past 10 years, Pokemon Go is Pokemon to them. Right? Yeah. So guess what? I have the money to buy as many Pokemon things as I want. But the thing is that kid is going to be asking for Pokemon stuff too, right? And I think that having the like confidence to be like, hey, this is definitively what this game is, it kind of shows your ignorance in a certain degree because by saying that your opinion and your viewpoint on any matter is exclusively the only way of seeing it, you're inherently gatekeeping, like we've been talking this entire time, is that you have no idea how many people buy this game or you have no idea how many people actually enjoy this game for different reasons, right? I'm sure there's a huge community of people that love the contests in Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah,
right?
and they're like, what happened to them? I think the
Yeah.
core. I think the core is a lot simpler than those people that are like, well, if you don't have this specific mechanic or this specific like look, type of trainer or whatever, it's not Pokemon. It's a Pokemon game. It's a game with Pokemon in it. which is I hate it. But
It is breaking down. He's done.
And to me, it's just like Pokemon is about exploration, battling, collecting. That's the core of it, right? And then how they do that is how they do that. Like, as long as they do it in a way that's fun and interesting, I don't really care. It doesn't have to be exactly the same or completely different. It just needs to be interesting, you know?
If you had to boil, I like that you said 3 words, by the way, AJ. That was very concise. What's your view in 3 words of Pokemon, Parker? Because AJ's was exploration, battling, collecting, right?
Yeah.
I
mean,
I'll say mine.
To go
I'll
past. Okay, go for it.
So my 3. As soon as AJ said his, in my head I was like, I proved my own point, because that's not what I play Pokemon for.
Yeah,
I play Pokemon for like the world building, the story of like where things are going, right, in the macro sense of the Pokemon world, and then the designs, right?
I think that. Yeah, it kind of is that. Like, you just got more specific in what I'm saying. When I say exploration, I don't mean like roaming around the world. I mean exploring the world in every way that means.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that like the minutia of it all is what I mean is that like when I say like the world, I don't mean like exploring the physical world. I mean like, if we're in England, then like what type of Pokemon? I see it more from like a design perspective, right? I play the games because I like them, right? But like, again, AJ and I are both fans, right? And I think that we both love the series, but our versions of what we think is more important are even somewhat different, right? So if they change
I agree with what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying when I say exploration, I mean that in every sense of the word. I mean literally exploring the world, and I mean like exploring the lore behind it and inspirations and stuff like that. That was basically just me. Like, if I went to school for branding and all that stuff, that's me boiling down Pokemon from a top-down view and like what I think the core of it is. So it's like, it's not hyper specific. It's just taking what the core tenets are and boiling it down to those 3 words. So exploration means more than just literally, roaming around. And collecting is a part of the design aspects, because that's why you collect them, because they look good, or because you want better Pokemon, or whatever. Like whatever your reason is for collection, you're collecting. Or
I did the shiny charm at the end.
Yeah,
there was some article or something that came out last year that it's pretty much said that there's some specific part of people's brains that grew up with Pokemon as a kid that's different from other people's, or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly, but it made me realize, like, I think Pokemon, it's one way or another, and I'm not sure which incepted the other, but either I like Pokemon because I like seeing lots of different kinds of animals and stuff, or I like seeing lots of different kinds of animals because it feels like exploring Pokemon kind of thing. So like going to a zoo or whatever and like watching the animals feels like it lights up the same things in my brain or something as finding new Pokemon does, or whatever, which is, I don't know, weird, but fun.
So like the core of it for you is that collection.
A zoo.
I think so. Yeah, that kind of thing. And like, but also like friendships with the Pokemon, that whole kind of thing, which honestly, that's why I didn't like Pokemon Go for a long time, and was because like you get, I don't know, a Weedle or something, and then you find a stronger Weedle and just chuck the other one and, you grind it into candies or something. But that was the thing. I was like, but I don't have like my one Weedle that's like, that's the one. We've been through it all together. I mean, I don't care about Weedle. All things considered, Weedle sucks. But, still, like, I want to have a Squirtle that's like, that's the Squirtle for me. So that was the thing about Pokemon Go that I was like, it's missing that element of, like, Pokemon your friendship with...
like so much more
Squirtle.
Like mass production. It was like churn and burn. It was like, oh, this isn't a good Squirtle, so you're getting grinded up into candies.
Yeah, which I mean, that's how I do... Yeah, true. That's what I do with like weapons and RPGs and stuff like that. Like I'm fine with that, but I don't have a relationship with the weapon. I mean, I also don't have, you know what I mean? Like,
I would be worried if you did.
It's like my pet.
If you had a connection with a weapon, I'd be like, oh.
Wait, okay, hear me out. Okay, with the creation of Temtem, we create our own Temtem. Okay, and what we do is it's the beginning part of the game is you go to like different forests or whatever, and you find wild animals, like the Pokemon adjacent thing. But when you catch them, you don't actually catch them in a Pokeball. You do like a weird alchemy spell and you transform them into a weapon. So like your Squirtle is given to you, and like maybe like you get like a mace, a sword, and then like an arrow, like a bow and arrow, and then like it transforms, like as you are not using it, it transforms into like a little buddy creature, and then you go out and capture more buddy creatures to fight bigger. Oh my God. And that's the gym leaders. The gym leaders are these massive like monster creatures like mountains or whatever. And you have to use your different buddy monsters to do different type. Okay, we created
it. Kind of reminds me of, what's it called? Monster Rancher.
Ooh.
A little bit, but backwards. Like, you know, where.
Reverse.
Yeah. reverse.
But yeah,
Man,
I want to do that.
I like
Let's
it.
make that game. 'Cause I just took Monster Hunter and I made it into Pokemon with like a weird magical girl element. And that's kind of all the things that I love in this world.
That is all.
Let's do it.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, and I also, and that's going to take me playing it, but a lot of the Temtem thing for me is like the only part that like I think is irreplaceable in a Pokemon game is the world and the characters and all that stuff, right? The battling, like them making the battling system different, but not, you know, better or more modern in a sense, makes me not really care about like that being the thing that like, for a new thing anyway, for that being the thing that they focused on, right? Like if they did, if they went more in a direction where it's like, oh, it is like an action RPG sort of situation, then I would like, be more like oh yeah,
like Pokken essentially, but like
more like Kakarot, like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, like that kind of rationale where it's like if your stats aren't good in that game or like, you know, like on a base level, like you're not a high enough level or whatever, you're not going to win because at the core of it, it's an RPG, but your like how you interface with the world is through action.
Or I mean,
that's how I would
like Zelda is the same kind of way where like you can, you know, like 3 hearts, no, you know, using a stick to beat a Lionel kind of a thing. I mean, stick's gonna break, but that kind of thing.
Where the core of it is the stats, but the way that you go through the game.
Because no, it's true. Like there's, I mean, that's the whole Madrybread's videos just prove that there's some Pokemon. It's like no matter what your strategy is, you're just gonna be too weak. They're gonna be faster than you. They're gonna destroy you. Like that's
which is why we get into these whole memes of like where Ash is Pikachu, right? Like the rules of the world in the games is fundamentally different from the rules of the world in the show, because it's less about like your stats, as it were, and more about what you do with those stats.
I mean, one thing that it makes me think about talking about this with you too is our interactions with Fire Emblem, AJ and mine at least, and was that AJ liked the world building, the characters, and that kind of stuff, and the combat was like, whatever, I guess I'm just gonna have to do it. It's fine. Whereas like I like quite enjoyed the battles, and I really liked all the other stuff too, but if it were just the battles, I probably still would have enjoyed it quite a bit. So similarly, like I think for you, the battling in Pokemon is like, that's just the way the battles have got to be. But it's really that you care about the world of Pokemon and stuff like that. So them tweaking it doesn't really change it into something that makes it like, now it's what I wanted.
It's a little bit more complicated than that for Pokemon proper. Because like, since it's the way that it's kind of like what I used to jokingly say about like fans of like God of War or whatever, right? Where it's like when that first came out, you got it because you had a PlayStation. It wasn't like you're buying a PlayStation to play God of War. It's like, well, I have a PlayStation. This new game's coming out, so I'll get God of War. Whereas with Pokemon, it's like people buy Game Boys because it's like, oh man, Pokemon's dope. I'm buying a Game Boy. That's the place where I'm at, right? Where it's like, if Pokemon adds to the battle system, I'm more interested. Like for Sword and Shield, when they did what they did for the competitive scene, I was like, yeah, I'm down, man, because I'm already in, right? But for Temtem, you're asking me to buy a whole nother thing. And the main like selling point for it is that the part that I like least about the thing that, granted, I like a lot, is the thing that is your focus. And I'm like, well, I don't need a new thing to like
but that said, it does sound like, I mean, outside of your specific situation with that, it does sound like if that is the thing for you within Pokemon, that you want the battling system to be better because you kind of like it, but it could be better. It does sound like Temtem, at least from Ian, what you're saying and what I've seen some other people say, is like improves on it quite a bit. So that's good.
By the way, I was looking for this video for the past couple minutes, and the video is from a YouTube channel, and the title is Game Freak's Wake Up Call, Temtem. And I'm like this, oh no.
And on one end, I hope that it is, right? I hope Yokai Watch and freaking Temtem and Digimon and all that stuff makes Game Freak want to say like, yo, we got to go to the Pokemon Company and get some more money.
I mean, but then again, Yokai Watch has been, I mean, Yokai Watch wasn't maybe as close of a like rip-off kind of a thing. I mean, not rip-off in a bad way, but like,
it's definitely not,
you know,
but I just mean
but
like
at the same time,
it seemed like
exactly. And but I think at the same time, as far as like the cruise liner versus boat or small boat kind of a thing, Yokai has also been the smaller boat that's been able to make turns and stuff, and it hasn't seemed to affect Pokemon Company at all with the game, with Game Freak and their mainline games. As far
that's because it fell flat everywhere else.
Yeah, right.
Like if Yokai Watch,
Japan's the only place where it got. Yeah. Here's the thing: we need to all come to terms with the fact that Pokemon is never going to change, because then if you have that expectation,
right,
then you're going to be happy with every game that comes out, right?
Yep,
and that's I feel like that was like my accidental thing with Pokemon, is that I came to Pokemon for what I came to it for when I was a kid, right? I didn't come for this like amazing god tier, like changing thing. I just came for it for Pokemon, and if I wanted a different experience, I'd play a different game like Temtem. And that's what I
think I'm on somewhere on that spectrum where it's like I accept if it doesn't change, but I can see it changing, and I think that with this. Less so with the, like, you know, with the extremists of it all, like the people that every time Nintendo or any Nintendo or Game Freak adjacent company tweets anything, their hashtag bring back the National Dex and all that stuff. But the people that are like kind of down on it, I think that does make Game Freak go back to the drawing board a bit. And I think that we will see advancements with that. The main problem, and that's what I was saying about the tweet, is that for such a long time, people were just with these mechanics. They're like, oh, it's fine because it's the 3DS game, or oh, it's fine because that's what Pokemon is. But now that people are saying like, no, we don't want this, in a similar way to how people were like with Skyward Sword, no, we don't want this. Skyward Sword sold fine. It made its money back. They didn't have to make like course correct, but they did because they saw that a vocal, I wouldn't even say minority, a lot of people were not happy with the game. And they saw their point and they did something about it. And now we have Breath of the Wild. I think that we
that's
similar thing.
That's the hard part though. Like, is that with Pokemon, like, I think that the only way you're going to have large companies like this, like the big ships, change is if it messes with their bottom line, right? And I don't think anything right now is messing with their bottom line, because
but that's what I'm saying. I don't think that it matters if it messes with their bottom line. I think that them seeing, I think that could be a thing that definitely changes something. But I think if they see an opportunity to increase their bottom line being like lower than usual or whatever is not a necessity.
The tricky thing too within the bottom line thing is just the fact that they do also make changes every time. Sometimes they're just not very big ones. So the thing that I'd be curious about or maybe worried about is that if Sword and Shield, for example, didn't sell well at all, like it just flopped, the takeaways that they could take from it could be we need to change more, but more likely I feel like it would be like we need to go back to the original thing. People liked the original thing better because that sold better. I mean, it's hard to say, you know, like I'm sure they listen more closely than just seeing the numbers, but if they just looked at the numbers, they were like, they were just changes.
Looking at it's like,
and so maybe we need to have not made those changes, which that would suck.
I just think looking at their messaging and looking at how Pokemon is currently changing, it may be at a slower pace. It does seem like they want they want Pokemon to be what everybody's saying they want it to be, but they can't change it to that as fast as everybody wants them to. Like Pokemon Sword and Shield is more of an MMO than Pokemon has ever been. Right?
Oh, for sure.
And it's more than Pokemon has ever been.
There was some other game that had a massive multiplayer component. The DS ones where you go in the caves underground.
Yeah.
The Diamond and Pearl remakes. But like the thing also that's also hard is that we've been talking about it this whole time is that like when the National Dex happened, I'm sure that everyone at Game Freak who was already working on the DLC for the Sword and what is it called? The Isle of Armor.
Crown Tundra. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, side thing, I know AJ knew about this. Like the theories behind Pokemon Sword and Shield's new evolution gimmick was called Armor Evolutions. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When they called it the Isle of Armor, I was like, I was like, is that a reference to something?
That's funny.
I just thought that was kind of goofy if they did that. or maybe someone saw a document and saw armor and then evolution. And then they were like, oh, of course, when in reality they were completely separate from one another.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so like people at Game Freak internally, also, I feel like this is not a thing in the Japanese community. I might be wrong and I would need to do more research, but like, I don't know how many people in Japan were like the national decks. I'm pretty sure they were just like, I don't care at all. Yeah. And then the American populace was like, I am going to burn down Game Freak because of Mudkip.
I feel like I remember something where like they didn't get the memo nearly as early as we were told at E3 or something like that, but then Japan was told like 2 weeks before the game came out, and then people were mad or something like that. But I don't. Yeah. All I remember is hearing that narrative, so I don't know what
It feels like at least as of late with the Nintendo community, Japan is usually like they kind of follow our lead in reacting to the negative.
Like what the Americans do. All right, let's join in.
Because with Byleth, right? Like initially they're like, oh yeah, this is fine, and then America's like, this sucks, and then part of Japan is like, yeah, I can see that. This sucks. You know?
Like, yeah, sure. Like, it point. I just love that narrative because it's like, you know what, guys, we're cool with it. They look over, they're like, what are the Americans doing? They hate it. Yeah, it's awful. I'm gonna be honest, it's really bad. So the thing that I was saying before was that I'm sure that they like were already preparing for the Isle of Armor and everything else going.
Yeah.
And like people here are like, oh man, people are really mad about the Pokemon. They're going to look real dumb in like about 6 months when they all come back. And I think it was me. I think you and I actually talked about this as well. I feel like every time I get mad about Pokemon, I just DM AJ and I'm like, hey, are you also mad? And he's like, oh brother, I was halfway texting you. But yeah, so like, we both said either on this show last time I was on or like separately in the DMs, I was like, if you think that they're not going to just bring those Pokemon back, you're a crazy person.
Yeah.
Because the Pokemon that people were mad about not being there, their 3D models were in the data mine before the game came out. And people were like, oh man, this is insane. I'm not buying the game because there's no Squirtle. I'm like, bro, Squirtle's in the game. The code is there, dude.
Yep.
But anyway, like that's also the big frustrating thing of kind of like the whole theme of this conversation is that they have a plan. Trust the plan because they've been doing this for a long time and I feel like they do know what they're doing. And that's why people like AJ and I who are like deep in this community, we're like, if you guys think that they're not going to like do this, then you're crazy. And people are like, no way, they'll never bring them back. And it's not like they imported 3D models from Pokemon Go into Sword and Shield. They had been doing this for a long time, like prepping for this DLC to come out. And it's frustrating to see this dichotomy of the two types of fans or multiple vectors of fans getting really up in arms over things that will be solved in like 6 months to a year.
And people just need to realize that Game Freak, they don't develop Pokemon games as games. They develop them as generations. They say, okay, Pokemon Sword and Shield, that's the start of Gen 8. This is our plan for this. This is how we're going to improve on this. It's going to start here and it's going to end here. People on the other end of that spectrum are thinking that they should be like, all right, let's make sweeping changes with every game that we release. And then it just doesn't work that way. That's why a lot of times when they have re-releases and stuff like that, they introduce new ideas where it's like something as dumb. It's like, cleaning badges, right? And then the next game.
I thought that was really cool, man.
No, I just mean like dumb in the sense that it's not like a major thing. But yeah, like cleaning badges. And then the next game comes out and it doesn't have that. And it's because those teams didn't like convene and say, okay, we put this thing in there. People liked it. Do it with your game. They're like, nah, we're already too deep in. We'll do it in the game after this. And then they'll become a standard from here. I think that's the main thing that people need to recognize. And also, like what me and Ian brought up, is just that the games aren't that big of a deal. They can be, but
buy 8 of them every time they come out.
Yeah, exactly. Every time they come out, buy 8.
But you know what is a big deal, AJ? Let me tell you this. Q&A. I'm just derailing the conversation 100%, unless we have any last thoughts.
My basic thought is like, I'm interested to play Temtem. Cool. But like, I think the whole thing of like poo-pooing Pokemon for Temtem just makes you look like a hypocrite.
Oh, can I actually wrap up both of our conversations very succinctly?
Go for it.
Absolutely.
We talked about Smash Brother, about how people were very mad about that, right?
That they were.
And we also talked about Pokemon. People were mad about that based off of Temtem. And I feel like in both scenarios, if you do your research, if you look into the games if you look into the game being made and then look into why it's being made the way it is being made, you won't be frustrated, right? I initially said in the beginning of our conversations, man, I don't like Byleth. But then we talked about, oh yeah, well, based on the Japan popularity chart, looking back on that, it makes sense. I don't like it, but it makes sense. That's fine, right? Same thing with like, oh, people who are looking at Temtem saying the Pokemon is garbage. Yeah, well, if you look at the way Pokemon is made, you'll know why these changes don't get made, and you'll know why Temtem gets made so quickly, and like these changes are so quick because of the size of the team and the property. So long story short,
just be realistic and honest with yourself. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think doing the research from the angle too of trying to understand why they would make the decision rather than, because I think some people
trying to justify your
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think some people will do exactly that and then be like, yeah, exactly, and that's why. See, I can make this 3D model in 3 days, so like obviously Pokemon Company can't. And it's like, but I think, yeah, if you kind of understand,
trying to get hired there, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
And just do your research and understand how companies work before you try to
or understand even that we probably don't fully understand how companies work.
And we never will.
Yeah, there's so many more cogs to those wheels than we.
I think that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Is that there's levels of people that you got to go through to do everything. They probably make models in a day, but then freaking their boss's boss is like, nah, I don't like the way that his wing flaps. You got to change it. And then at the end of it, it's like that whole thing in sitcoms where it's like, move the dresser here. And then by the end of the whole thing, the dresser is exactly where it started. Like that is most likely what always happens there, where they make new models and they're like, but just make it like the last one that we settled.
Like, you know how you have a job and you have your boss at your job? Imagine if there were 3 trillion bosses above you and you just wanted to get one Pokemon made. That's what I assume it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It is what it is. And it is the Q&A section. We're doing things a little out of order just because that's how it is. But you guys asked some questions. Specifically, Alex asked this question on YouTube community. The real question is, when are you going to join our show?
Like I said, I only do appearances when people send me Smash Brothers invitations. Obviously,
dang,
gotta send me. But no, never, dude. Yeah. Just freaking let me know.
But yeah, so we got a bunch of questions. We tried to get some more Fanatics Foods ones because Ian, you're here, and that's
that's why I'm
just
here.
a grand old time.
Follow Ian on Twitter because he does Cooking with Ian. It's a great time.
He does.
It really isn't. Don't gas it out. It's so bad, dude.
I thought the last one was great. Just you being like, well, the first 2 were funny, and like now I backed myself in a corner. I was like, guys, I love it. It was very good.
Well, and here's the thing: like that joke comes from like, hey, this is not produced. Someone so the story behind the Cooking with Ian videos is a friend of mine was like, oh, hey, how did you make those bagels that one time? And I said, oh, I don't know. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? And I was like, I'll just make a video and send it to you. And he's like, it seems like a lot of work. You just, Google the recipe. I'm like, nah, it's fine. And I made the video and he goes, oh no, you need to show this to people. And I'm like, no. And then now here we are. It's 3 videos deep.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
They're good. They're fun.
Yeah. All the recipes are idiot proof is what I like to say. Is that very low ingredients, very low effort. You'll learn it in 2 minutes, essentially, is the premise.
Which is a good one, especially for creating a video series, because then you inherently have constraints. So it's like, okay, I got to do this, and it has to be in this time frame, so that you know where to go next.
Yeah, dude, I cut down the footage from that, a little behind the scenes. It was 25 minutes of me talking to myself, making this omelet. And it was a 2-minute and 10-second video. So imagine all the dumb stuff I cut out. Imagine that.
You gotta make a director's cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna.
That's the Patreon. Like everybody. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And if you haven't seen, also speaking of a video that's going to come out today, it's not a Cooking with Ian. I think I'm going to have another one next week. But I actually also do the gamer advice column.
Oh yeah, true. Those are good.
New one coming out today, where I'm like the Miss Cleo, but for gamers, where I give advice and people ask me questions.
Yeah. First question. So this is from YouTube community. Marky Mark asks a 2-part question. A, do you have any controversial hot takes for 2020?
I think we started the show with it.
Nintendo's best game of the decade. Fight me in real life if you think I'm wrong.
So he said his are, there will be no new hardware in the Switch family. Number 2, Breath of the Wild 2 is not coming in 2020. And number 3, Pokemon Expansion Pass will be 100% worth it. And those lapsed Pokemon fans will continue to double down on the negativity.
I disagree with your first 2 hot takes. Well, your first one, I halfway disagree with the second one because, like, I mean, who knows, dude? Like, who knows? But as far as the first thing, I think that just
isn't there already patents out? Like, aren't there already patents out for like an upgraded version? I mean, technically, he's already wrong because they had an upgraded version with the battery.
Yeah,
true. I guess he means,
but he means beyond.
He means like a pro.
Further.
He also said hot takes for 2020. So maybe he would mean like if in 2021 it wouldn't count for this.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. It feels like to me that Nintendo and Nvidia have this pact where it's like, all right, we got this relationship now. Buy chips from us, and then Nintendo's like, all right,
yeah.
So I would be kind of surprised if they didn't do it. And when there's smoke, there's fire. A lot of the times, like everybody's talking about a Switch Lite and a Switch Pro, and we got the Switch Lite, even though it's Switch Mini or whatever.
Oh, AJ's audio disappeared.
Oh, he's back.
We're back.
Okay. But yeah,
it was so hot the internet wouldn't let you say it.
Weird, dude. But yeah, we got part of the equation, so it just seems kind of weird if we don't get the rest of it. Breath of the Wild, yeah, that's whatever. And then I completely agree with the third one.
Breath of the Wild, I don't know.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, I think it is coming 2020. That's my. That's not really a hot take. That's just that.
That's you willing it into existence.
When did Breath of the Wild come out?
March 2017.
We are in 2020. So it'll have been. I believe it. I believe
3.5 years at that point.
Yeah, using the same engine, right? Because
same assets.
Yeah, and like they're just moving things around. I mean, moving things around is relative. I don't make games, but like I feel like if you're following the narrative of like Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time, where like, hey, we have the resources already, we want to tell a different story or a continuation of the story that is different than DLC. And they already kind of shown that their dev cycle with the DLC from Breath of the Wild was like relatively quick overall, right? It was like 6 months to a year. It was like every 6 months they had something new, right?
It was 3 months to the first one and then 6 more months until the next one, something like that. So I mean, 9 total months for everything. Yeah.
So I would believe it, honestly, if it came out this year, like maybe at the very end of the year. Because like the holiday is going to be Pokemon DLC, right? That's like locked in, right? And I don't think they want to eat their own lunch and like put out a huge thing during the holidays. We would have known about it already. But I'm thinking like maybe not January. What am I saying? Like the end of this calendar year, maybe something will come out. And that I would believe that would be Zelda. If that would make sense. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any specific controversial hot takes.
Oh, I forgot the question. Besides the Nintendogs thing, I don't think I have anything that's incendiary either.
If there's not a new Golden Sun in 2020, we riot. There you go.
Do I have to?
Agreed.
Yep.
I'm down.
You have to riot.
Can you imagine the Byleth commercial, but just replace it with the Golden Sun guy and like
the Golden Sun guy.
Isaac is his name, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, there's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine people who are like, whoa, who's this?
Especially if they did somebody else.
Hear me out. Not a Golden Sun guy. The main character that they're going to get for the first fighter pass is going to be the main character from Boktai.
They gotta do
I barely even know what that is.
Pokemon Trainer 2.0. Make it happen, guys.
But we got a question about that coming up in a little bit.
They're not going to do it. They're just going to do Cinderace. You know it to be true.
It's true.
Second
part of his question is you're on death row and they ask you what you want as your final meal. This is Fanatics Foods. What do you choose? Been watching Rectified recently, an amazing show. I don't know what that is, but what would you choose as your final meal?
It's an amazing show.
He would eat that DVD. That's his final meal.
I guess it also depends. Here's some caveats where you are in the world. Yeah. So like, I'm not going to ask for sushi as my final meal in Texas. But like a good burger, but not if I'm in somewhere that can't make a good burger. That kind of a thing,
Here's my rationale. I want something that's quick because I don't want to think about it, dude. I just like I don't want to just sit there like like mulling it over in my head. It's like I'm gonna die soon. This is the last thing. I'm like, just get it over with, man.
Yep.
Like I feel like that's the worst part of like stuff where somebody's like, I'm gonna get you. Like the whole meme of like a bully threatening a kid and being like 3 o'clock. That's way worse than when you get 3 o'clock. Is getting to it, So just give me like a freaking Capri Sun and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Dang. Well, when you're on gamer death row, I'll make sure to give that to you.
Okay, sounds good.
That's so hard, dude. I feel like I would want the sushi from my favorite sushi spot in Tokyo, and then oh my god, what is it called? It's a lemon kumquat bubble tea from my favorite place in my hometown. If
Bubble
I had to choose
tea
two,
is crazy.
yeah, it's very good. Shout out to kumquat one time. Favorite fruit.
The real question too is, why are we on death row? I wonder what we did.
Gamer crimes.
Nah, always gamer crimes.
We committed offensive gamer crimes.
That's true.
It's like the prohibition, but against games. We just played them.
I can't wait until the gamer prohibition happens.
Man, what a world. Yeah, good stuff. Next question from Pat Green. AJ, what are your music tastes? Music tastes. What are your music tastes? And Parker, what's for lunch? Also, is Fanatix4 afraid to get weird in 2020? Love you, bye.
They got me on, so no. They opened that door.
Nice.
You know, that's a good point. I like hip hop music, but recently not as much so because there's a lot of trash, man. Not down, you know? I feel like I'm old because, you know, like the freaking like little Yachty's of the world. I'm like, no, man. I feel like I'm losing brain cells just mentioning his name. So I don't really listen to music that often now because I'm depressed with music specifically. So hip hop, but when it's good only.
True. Ian, what about you, music wise?
I feel like I bounce around. I feel like every other year I like completely switch up my my music tastes. But I kind of like settled down into like jazz related. Like if it touches jazz, then usually I'm into it. So like there are actually no, I lied. Well, that is true. I lied.
Jazz is trash.
Okay, so I'm thinking back to like, so my default answer whenever people would ask me that is I would say like there's a band out of Australia called Hiatus Coyote. Okay. And they toured with Chance the Rapper for a while, and they're like really, really good if you're into like really good instrumentals and good, like I guess core mechanics of music. But recently,
that's
I was
some gamer stuff.
What core mechanics of music? Yeah. Dude, I have so much APM when I play the guitar. But recently, I was on a trip up to San Francisco, and I was like asked to like curate a playlist, and I realized that my music choices in the moment, I have like a dueling personality. I have like this bubble pop electronic personality on one side of my brain, and then I have like this angry like pop punk / like rock personality. And I put on Sean Wasabi, if you guys know who that is. He's like a huge YouTube person, or he started on YouTube, I think. It's like a guy, he's got green hair, and he types a bunch of buttons on like a little keyboard, and it types out songs.
Is Jacksepticeye?
No, but no, he's not from Ireland. But yeah, look him up. Sean Wasabi, super cool. He's like my most recent bubble pop obsession. And then I played right after Sean Wasabi, I played Paramore, Misery Business from the way back when.
That one I know.
Yeah, but also
now we're going to copyright strike. Thanks a lot.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I do sound exactly like a record player from
exactly.
the beginning.
Yeah, but kind of like what AJ was saying, I'm also a huge fan of hip hop. You know, I grew up in like the Northeast, like right near New York, so it's like a huge part of like what I grew up on. So again, that also kind of answers the first part. Like it touches jazz, right? So like jazz and hip hop and R&B are connected. Yeah, love me. You know, to quote Chance the Rapper, I love my wife. I love my wife. I love my wife. That's all of his songs now. So.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Yep. And what's Parker? What's for lunch? I didn't really eat lunch today. It was a weird day. It was very busy. So there you go.
Grimhane, scold him in the comments. Thank you.
What kind of Fanatics Foods podcast is this if I didn't eat lunch? Sam Diaz asks, I need a quote for some English project. Y'all got me? It doesn't have to be serious.
You didn't
I will be king of the pirates. Luffy from One Piece. You're welcome.
You didn't give me context or nothing like that. Gotta go fast. Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a me, Mario. Pikachu.
Good Lord.
that takes a lot of little brain. That was from something. Yeah, there you go.
You can't put that on there, man.
Did it.
No, okay, time out real quick. A kid that I went to high school with who was like pretty nice, or he was a friend of mine, but also like real cocky, really good at the guitar, but really cocky. So
Logan, but can play guitar.
Yeah, I guess. But so like he went over, and it was when Guitar Hero was like really big, and would play Guitar Hero at people's house sometimes and sucked at it. And like people were like, "Oh, you think you'd be really good?" And he's like, "Shut up, I hate you." And one day he was like, "Why play Guitar Hero when you can be a guitar hero?" And then he was so proud of himself about that quote that it was his senior quote by Anonymous.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And it was
he didn't even have the
himself.
confidence to say it was himself. That's
He was
crazy.
like, "I don't know who said that, but it's so true." I'm like,
it's great. It's a good
Bro.
quote.
but
Abraham
no,
Lincoln
he's-
said that, I think,
I
yeah.
can feel
which
it.
is crazy.
Why play Guitar Hero?
No, he had a
can
baby
be
girly
a guitar
voice,
hero.
apparently.
I play Guitar
Yeah, there
Hero.
you go.
There you go. Got it. Cool. We're moving into Discord questions. We got so many questions. Long Chris asks, and this is related to what I said earlier. You were asking.
Yep. Mhm.
If another Pokemon trainer was added as a DLC character for Smash, what would it be named? Since there's already a Pokemon trainer, I was thinking Galar trainer or Galar
Ooh.
Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, Galarian Pokemon trainer. There you go. We got it.
I mean,
Galar
Pokemon
trainer's
trainer's
pretty good.
pretty boring as a name, so like I wouldn't put it past them to have another boring name.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you call it?
Why don't you have, instead of the trainers, make it the dudes from the end game and have it be Sword and Shield?
Oh no!
Oh my God, no.
Swordbert
Please
and
do not.
Swordbert and
Shield.
Shieldman or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, someone did an edit of that, like a Photoshop edit, and they
Mhm.
gave him like Lance Bass hair. And
Oh
then
my
the
God.
caption on top, sorry, it was a Japanese account that did that on Photoshop.
Mhm.
And then I saw the American response. The American response was, "Oh no, he's hot." and I followed that sentiment. I was like, why didn't they just do that instead?
That's
Because he's
really
supposed to
funny.
be dumb. He's Team Rocket.
You can be
Yep.
dumb and hot at the same time. Look at Jesse and James.
You know what? That's true. That's a good point.
They were serving
We
looks
do
in the
look-
90s, dude.
It's true. That's a good point.
Dirt Marcos asks, "What's your prediction of the next 6 new Smash characters? Are they going to be Nintendo or completely random?" I think we gave predictions for. Oh no, we gave Sword Fighter predictions
I've
last
done
week.
predictions
as a guest.
all over the place. I've predicted at least.
Okay, let's do, instead of predicting specifically what they are, let's
Who do
say
you want?
how many, what percentage. So like, yeah, how many out of 6
All right.
are going to be Nintendo or third party?
I think it's going to be 30%
indie or whatever.
Nintendo characters. Here's the Nintendo characters. It's going to be a Mario character and it's going to be a Pokemon character.
Mhm.
You know what? Maybe a Fire Emblem character too. Maybe Nintendo characters. And then, which, I mean, realistically, I doubt they're going to do another Fire Emblem character because people got mad.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. Pokemon, Mario, most likely
Mhm.
going to happen. The other ones are going to be third party, probably.
Maybe if Zelda is playable in Breath of the Wild, girl Zelda is playable in Breath of the Wild 2, and I hope that she is,
Ooh, like
then
DLC
maybe
costume.
girl Zelda as like just a completely different one.
Another
But
girl.
yeah, another girl Zelda, but like completely different play style or whatever.
And then a short aside, something that like I didn't even realize until the new Dragon Ball Fighters DLC got announced, which is another Goku.
yeah.
I'm like, why do people want Goku in Smash Brothers? Because Goku is the Fire Emblem character of Dragon Ball Z.
yeah.
Like he's
Love me a
like
Gaku.
he's like 60% of the roster of every Dragon Ball Z game.
Mhm.
So like, why do we want him in another thing? Like retire Goku forever.
Yep.
You know what? Keep Goku dead in the Saiyan saga. He's-
Honestly, mood.
he's
Keep him
done.
dead.
True.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Any other predictions or thoughts, people you guys want?
I still think Dante's going to be in there. And I think Sora might be in there too. Something in my
Yeah.
heart. Like,
I'd be
I know
down.
that that's totally like, oh man, these characters should be in there. But like, it to me, like, there's like just enough of it makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me that Tetsuya Nomura didn't like hit up his fellow Japanese creators and he's like, hey, so by the way, Kojima got one. Let me have one. Right?
Yeah.
But like,
You know what?
that had to have happened.
Mhm.
Second thought, I agreed just off reflex, but again, I don't want that. Just on principle, I don't want Dante in the game. I'm fine with Sora. but Dante's not allowed.
Maybe just give it some time, like because the people that are toxic about Dante or whatever will have shut up by then. And
that's not true. People are still toxic about Waluigi. That's why, even though I said that Mario character is going to be in the game, I want it to be like a thwomp. I want it to be like something real stupid.
That'd be actually pretty cool, though.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, like those characters I just said just make sense, right? Because they apply to Japanese sensibilities, right? They're from major, like prolific, iconic Japanese creators. Right. Like I feel like their gameplay would be cool. Yeah, like I mean, the only reason why I can see Sora not being in it is because of the Disney thing, and I don't know how Disney would feel about it. But like, if it's just Sora, no Donald, no Gorfy. Who cares, right? He just has a big old key and then shoots lasers.
And they don't have trophies anymore.
I mean, and also like, Disney is operating differently now, kind of than they used to ever before. I think so. I could see.
Yeah, maybe like a little bit more laissez-faire about it. There is one other character as I was talking that I literally just forgot as it left my mouth. Wow, here's another.
I had one too that I completely
huge
forgot.
Japanese. Travis Touchdown, maybe. Getting in there. I met the creator of Travis Touchdown at PAX West.
Suda?
And that's when I was that's when I just came back from Japan. So like my Japanese was still fresh, and I like walked up to him, and his translator like kind of like pump faked me, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta talk for this white guy right now." Great. And then I like told the translator, I'm like, "No, it's okay. I can talk for myself." And then he's like, "Okay," and just like walks away. And like I have a whole conversation. I'm like, "Oh, so is your boy gonna get in Smash?" And he's like, "Hey, since you're the only one that understands me right now, don't tell anyone, but it's happening." And I'm like, "Are you lying right now?" And he's like, "You'll never know." And I'm like, "This is on brand for you as a creator."
That's really funny.
Me and Bob met him at PAX East, but the PAX East right before Travis Strikes Again was coming out. And we both felt bad because we never played any of his games. So it's like, we didn't have anything to ask him. He was like, it was like, "You guys want a picture or whatever?" Like, "Yeah, that's fine. You want to interview me?" And like, I don't know what to ask you, like, pretty much. So it's like, we kind of felt bad about that.
Just pull the Q&A from our podcast and just ask him all those questions.
It's too late now. So
if you're on death row, what would you eat?
What are you going to do to me?
There was some other Japanese like centric game that I was really like, it's lost in my brain right now, but it's from like a big like Square Enix RPG, but it cannot be summoned from my brain right now.
Octopath. I mean, that's not that big.
Octopath, but for like Pokemon trainer style thing where you can switch out and like you're all pixelated, kind of like Game & Watch. That'd be great.
Man, I would love it.
You know what? Hamtaro, the movie, the game.
Hey,
characters.
Don't taunt me like that. I love me a Hamtaro, honestly.
I don't even know if there's a Hamtaro movie, but there probably should be.
Oh, 100%. There's an OVA of Hamtaro. I made the joke that maybe like get an anime character in there, just one. Just get Naruto. Everyone mad.
Anybody but Goku, you know?
Yeah, definitely not Goku. I'm gonna think about it in like a minute, and I'm gonna get so mad at myself. But there's some other like Japanese centric game that I like really thought would be a good fit. But I mean, who knows?
Monster Hunter also as an aside.
Sorry, that's the one. Yes,
hey,
Monster
got
Hunter.
it.
Yes, because I was like, between the success of World and then also being originally on the Nintendo franchise, like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, even a Palico, if you wanted to go like really kiddie with it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
A Palico wearing, or I forget the name of like the Palico fighters from the Switch and DS versions, but that would be perfect.
Are they not called Palicos as well?
Yeah, but like there's a word for it, like the fighter version. Like the Palicos are the ones that follow you.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool. Oh, I want it.
Next question from Zay. It's either Roman numeral 13 or Zay Xi. And we'll never know which. Because
never.
Yeah, I just say 13 and it's never been corrected. So.
There you go. So Zay 13 asks, would you ever do the podcast live? I really like your guys' podcast to FS. I don't know what FS stands for. It's really solid. I listen while I work.
Possibly. That's a logistics thing though, because we still don't even have it like bolted down for when we record it. So it would be weird.
Very true
for live.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Mm-hmm. We do the trios assemble. We get Bob, we get y'all, me and Alex, and we record a live podcast as a panel at PAX West.
Yeah, I'm down.
Saying the
or come to PAX East.
See, that was
because I'll be at PAX East.
See, this is the thing. This is the thing.
But it's big. It's very far.
Because we were talking about panels for this, and I was like, man, it sucks. Okay, pieces are going because you guys are the panel guys. Like you guys,
We are.
yes, you know more about panels than we do. And
You assume we know anything. That's the first problem.
See, this is the thing. I know that that's not true because when we were going to PAX East, Alex is the one that had more panel ideas than anybody else in the group chat. So there's that. You know, there's that.
Next question.
Maybe eventually, once Parker's full time.
Yeah. Next question from Duncan. Yo. Y'all like tea?
I like that. I like that. That became a legitimate thing. All right. So Ian, background on that.
Tell me.
But I do my whole like spiel for like housekeeping and stuff like that, and it's always different. This time I was talking about Discord, and I was like, join the Discord, and then Duncan's going to be in there, who's a supporter of the show. I was like, Duncan's going to be in there, and he's going to be like, yo, welcome to, and then he just started saying it now. He's just,
you created it,
and I appreciate that.
You summoned it into
Creative
existence.
Monster.
I did.
There you go.
So again, Duncan, yo, y'all like tea? If so, what kind is your favorite? Hashtag fanatics.
Oh, I thought this was like gossip. I was like, I love the gossip.
No, dude. We talk about food a lot, and it's just become a thing.
Yeah, it has.
Like, I think that I
want to say Falcon started it, the Fanatics Foods hashtag.
Yeah, he definitely started.
At some point, he started just leaving recipes.
Yeah,
and was just like, here's this recipe, Fanatics Foods. We're like,
that
cool.
was like one time he did cereal.
Yeah,
Pour cereal into.
Yep.
Bowl.
Exactly what you think. It was great. Yes, I like tea. My mom grew up in Australia, which means she grew up a little bit almost British.
a little bit, almost.
Yeah.
A little British.
But no, my mom's like obsessed with tea. She's got a teapot collection and all sorts of stuff. So I grew up drinking a lot of tea. And also, so I was in France the first 10 years of my life. And the church that we went to was like, had a lot of British people around there. So tea just happened all the time. And so like for me, comfort tea that is just like English breakfast with milk and sugar feels like home. But also I like lots of other kinds of different teas. Chai is always fun. One time in China, I had the tea that was pretty much like, what's it called at the dentist where they, the Novocaine or whatever?
Yeah. No, there's a word for it. No, there's a word. It's like Asian. No.
For the tea.
Like Asian pea blossom, I think is what it's called.
That sounds about right. It was. Yeah. I didn't order it. Somebody else got it, and then they just passed it around, and everybody tried it. And I saw everybody else's faces as they were drinking it go like, and I was like, I'll be fine. It'll be all right. And I drank it, and I held a straight face for like 2 seconds, and then was like, I'm dying. And my mouth was completely numb. So there you go. There's
Asian pea blossom, I think. Why do I know that? I don't know. I can't.
I'm glad that you do, because I wouldn't have ever known.
Give me some tea, put some lemon in it. I'm down.
Put some lemon in it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, Parker said that his mom grew up sort of British. I lived in Japan, so green tea.
Yep.
There you go. Cultural connection.
Yeah. Good old tea. Good question.
I grew up sort of kind of Asian. I mean, I was a grown man and moved across the way.
You did a lot of grown up while you were there, I'm sure.
I mean, honestly,
evolved as a human.
I was a baby when I moved over there. A baby 24-year-old.
True.
Oh, so you're saying that you devolved because babies are better. We established this the last time you were here.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh, that is true.
S tier. Yeah,
it's true. I went from a grown man to a baby, and now I'm back to a grown man, unfortunately.
Yep. Rip.
We always like Benjamin Button. It never gets old. But Lord Commander Grimhane
I take
asks,
back my giggle.
Temtem or Pokemon? Hashtag easy decision.
Digimon.
Oh, yo.
On brand.
AJ. Yes. Digimon. Digital monsters. Digimon are the champions. Change into digital champions to change the digital world. Please tell me you don't know the deep lore between me and Digimon.
I kind of do. I know you like it a lot,
bro. There is deep lore with me and Digimon. I am the world's #1 Digimon stan. I'll tell you what. I think
you and Max would get along. I'm pretty sure he's quite high up in the Digimon.
I fell off after
camp.
Vmon. Vmon's the last one that I know.
Yeah, Vmon's a good one. Season 2. So my wife and I.
I know that's not true. I know the Fox one too. The
Randomon. That's in season Tamers. See, this is I know too much about this series. We went to like a little exhibit, a pop-up museum for Digimon. We were in Tokyo, and there's like this whole thing. You walk around. It's like a big exhibit. It's cool. At the very end, they show you clips, and they're like, there's a guy there, and he's like, hey, if you can tell me what's happening in the clip based off of the thing, you get a little token. So, and like there's a little button, right? And he's holding the button, and I'm like, oh, that's from episode 3, season 1. This thing happens right after this happens.
312.
And he goes like, oh, that's and this is all in Japanese, obviously. He's like, oh, that's great. And I move his hand and I hit the button. I'm like, this is from season 1, episode 8. This happens right before this major fight. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I hit the button again, and I went through every single clip, and my wife is like, what is happening? what is going on?
Was she proud or ashamed? Because by the end, it's one or the other.
The answer is yes. Because she was like, because the thing is, I come off as like a goofy, like silly guy, and like I don't really take things too seriously. But like this man, by showing me this button in the clips, it was my activation code, and I was like, all my memories are now unlocked. And it was insane. I've never had anything happen like that. I came to it, I was like, I blacked out. What happened? I saw the Digimon again. So
that's really funny.
That's my choice, Digimon.
There it is.
There you go. And there it is. Midas Magnezone or Midas Magnezone. Why are oranges better than apples?
Okay, so this is interesting.
You're wrong,
because this is interesting.
You're wrong, dude.
This is interesting.
It is interesting because the last 3 episodes, for one thing,
Ian is the catalyst of all of this.
What did I do?
Oh, you tweeted that. You tweeted.
Oh, red apple. If you like red apples, you're a cop.
Exactly. That's what you tweeted. So this brought up a whole other converation on Wolf Den, where I was like, I like green apples the best. And then
did Bob say he likes red apples?
He said he likes more than green apples.
Yeah.
All right.
He said he likes oranges more than green apples because green apples are too sour. And then there was a whole thing about like, oranges are kind of...
No, he said that apples are better. Red apples are better than green apples because they're too sour. And then he said that he likes oranges. He likes oranges better than apples generally.
Right. Yes.
And and then I said
so many things wrong.
I'm like, that makes no sense. Because the thing in my mind where I'm like, yeah, I like oranges more is because I like that they're more sour than red apples.
I asked my parents, by the way, because the other day I was like, Are oranges?
Mom and Dad, are you a cop?
Yes. Are oranges sour? Like, are they on the sour spectrum more than a 0? Less than a 10 or whatever? And they were like, yeah, they are. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we are in agreement on this.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And also clarification that AJ, you made when you were at the end when you were talking to Pete. And curious, Ian, if this is what you meant too. Red apples meaning just like Red Delicious apples, because like Red Delicious apples garbage, just bad, but like there's like Fiji apples and ones that are like red but with some other stuff, like those are I'm down with those. Or Gala apples are good too, but Red Delicious apples have 0 flavor and they're the worst.
So here's the thing, you guys have grossly overestimated the amount of thought I put into my tweet. I just thought that those words collected together were funny, but no, I'm a fan of green apples because of that sourness.
Exactly.
I want to feel alive, like I'm not just eating this fruit orb for my health. I want to live, dude. Like, why do you eat junk food, right? It tastes good and it makes you feel bad after. I want to feel something but that's a delayed release.
Yep.
I want to feel like
good and bad at the same time.
Like if you're going to eat a vegetable, eat kale. Because you eat that, you're like, this tastes bad, but my body loves it, right? So then when you eat an apple, you're like, ooh, this hurts my mouth, but my body's going to love it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the dichotomy in my mind, right? So if you're eating a red apple, and red apples do taste good, but you're a cop because you're skipping over the rules of vegetables and fruit.
And fruit.
Here's the funny thing about this whole conversation to me, though. The meta part of it is that we're actually comparing apples and oranges.
Yes, but right.
We did do that, didn't we?
But that just proves how stupid that saying is, because they're both fruit. So like they're in the same category. It's not that hard to compare them.
They're both circular.
They are.
Eat them both. There are many factors in which you can compare apples and oranges.
Yes,
true.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm just a huge green apple fan. No science behind it.
Green apples are great. Yep.
Right. And that's
green apples can be paired with peanut butter, and apparently today is National Peanut Butter Day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a thing. It's great. That's all you ever need to know.
Wait, crunchy or smooth peanut butter? This is the true test of friendship. Also,
probably
I'm
depends
no
on
longer friends with
context.
Bob, by the way.
Okay. You know
now
what?
that I know that before we became friends, friendship over because he likes red apples more than green apples. Sorry, Bob.
I mean, it makes sense, you know.
I'd say if it's just on toast, crunchy. But then like there's a lot of times when you kind of just need smooth peanut butter. You know what I mean?
This is the thing. This is how I think about smooth and crunchy peanut butter. Crunchy peanut butter.
Go on.
Crunchy peanut butter feels more like a snack, you know? Like it's like it feels like it's almost on the
I can't
chocolate
believe
bar.
you're using this.
No, but listen. No, I'm not saying snack as in like the side, like the portion of the meal or whatever. It feels like it's like a candy bar kind of, you know. Whereas like smooth peanut butter is just peanut butter. It's like that's not interesting. Like this is more so an ingredient in chicken than it is like something I want to put on
an ingredient in chicken.
Yeah, like
I mean,
you know, like
saute,
Asian.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Like
yes. That's just not the thing that you go to.
No, that's the thing I go to
butter.
because that's the thing I go to because that's where I would use freaking smooth peanut butter or something like that. But like if I'm gonna like eat peanut butter in like a like a sandwich or something, I'm probably gonna go crunchy.
So here's the thing. A long time ago, I was smooth only, and my original opinion was if you like crunchy, you're a cop. But I learned something in my gamer wisdom years as I've grown older is the thing is the reason why crunchy is better is it provides you the what is it called? The fiber.
Pain.
But also the pain. If it's good for your body, it has to be bad. It can't be good. But yeah, like, so apparently with like fruits and juices or whatever, the more pulp that's in it, the better it is for you because your body actually craves.
Yeah.
We're leaving Joketown and we're going to Scienceville. But like your body craves the proteins and the things and the fibers found inside the actual physical elements of it. Your body isn't actually supposed to drink juice, which is crazy.
Which is depressing.
And this is where that philosophy comes from, is that juice is the reward for eating the bad part of the apple. Or the orange or whatever. And I think it's the same thing with peanut butter, is that you get fats and nutrients, but you have to power through the hard exterior.
Interesting.
So you cannot have the good without the bad. So I would never buy crunchy peanut butter, but as a intellectually honest person, I have to say crunchy peanut butter is better.
Well, what about Lord Commander Grimhane asks, donuts or bear claws? Hashtag Fanatics Foods.
What is a bear claw?
See, I know what
I've
these
never
are.
eaten one. I've only seen them. So obviously donuts, but even that, I'm not like super big on donuts. Definitely bagels over donuts, but there's some really good donuts at the same time.
I almost disagree with that, but I think I agree with that.
Yeah, there's some really good donuts.
See, this is the thing. But for me, I don't like freaking like filled donuts, like anything, literally anything. If you put it, because they always put too much, so I don't want it. You know, like I don't trust you to put the right amount of stuff in this donut, so I don't want any.
Yep.
So that's my rationale with that, because a good portion of donuts is filled with something, and I'm like, just for that reason, I'm like, nah, I don't want it.
Have you guys been to Duck Donuts before? We don't have any around me, but so it's kind of, I think it was based in Duck, North Carolina or something like that, but they're kind of all over the East Coast. Well, I don't know about all over, but they're around the East Coast or something like that now. But it's essentially like
is it like the Voodoo Donuts? Or
it's not quite that level, but it's essentially, like make your own donut kind of, or not make your own, but you're like, I want this they have like 20 different kinds of glazes and like you can put bacon on it or whatever, any of the kinds of toppings or something. So you can just make your own combination of things. And they have ones that are already like, these are our recommendations, but do whatever you want. And they're great and super good. So like Duck Donut, fantastic. I mean, over bear claws, by the way, I think we're all in agreement that like, who even cares about a bear claw?
Yeah,
I'm saying, isn't a bear claw a donut?
I think it's like a weird shaped donut with like. Yeah,
they're the same.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Next question, also Lord Commander Grimhain, not food related. Baby Yoda or 900-year-old Yoda? Only one can survive.
900-year-old. One is an adult.
One's also already dead. He's already dead.
Yeah, I think we're good on that front. It's the choice has been made for us.
Natural selection. Dude.
Time has won.
And then also, quick answer: don't even think red or blue.
Blue, dude.
Look at my branding.
Thank you, everybody.
You know,
but you're in a room full of all red though. Look behind you.
I mean, that's Nintendo's fault.
That's true.
Like, when I had the lights up there, they were blue. This is blue.
It's true.
Likely story.
I am blue. Dabba dee dabba die. Dabba dee dabba die.
Also, I'm upset by this product provided by Pokemon Company because I wanted Sobble, but they gave me freaking Score Bunny. So we got beef.
Score Bunny. Chikapo asks, what shows / movies / music have you been consuming lately? Anything you'd suggest we look into?
This is a new question because I don't consume things.
Tell me about One Piece because I don't really know much about it. Tell me just like 2 sentences about One Piece.
I was going to say, you don't have time.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? I will give you the selling pitch in the least amount of words that I can summon.
Perfect.
Name a single anime that you like.
My Hero.
One Piece is better.
Cool.
Name it and I don't say that to demean My Hero Academia. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm a Naruto fan, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I grew up on, right? I had this bright blonde hair growing up, and a friend of mine gave me this thing, and it was from the library, and it was Naruto. And that was my first manga that I ever read, right? But the more I'm reading the One Piece, the more I'm realizing that just mechanically, the way the story is like set out, and like the way it's planned, and the way the characters are introduced, and power sets are evolving, like they just take everything that happens in shonen being like battle anime or like young boys framed anime, and do it the best possible way. Do you ever hear of the Sasuke retrieval arc?
Yes.
You ever hear this? Sasuke is the bad boy from Naruto.
Right. Yeah. I've seen, I think, the first half of the first season.
Okay. That's all you need to know for this story, I promise. Okay. So Sasuke, bad boy, runs away, and he wants to train under the evil snake person. The entire arc, or there's an entire arc towards the end of the first half of Naruto. It's called the Sasuke retrieval arc, where all of his friends from his ninja class go and try and save him, right? The end of that arc ends with Sasuke winning and then him going to be evil, right? And then you're ending here like, especially now looking back at the show. What
was the point of all that?
Over. Yeah, you're like, hey, bud, all your friends risk their life for you and they're all really strong. Why don't you just train with them and then, enact your plan of revenge? Like, it seems like you're doing a whole lot for no reason. And there's an arc in One Piece called, they don't call it this, but it's called the Nico Robin retrieval arc. Right. And no spoilers, but it's a similar thing where there's a character who we thought was our friend who might not be. You find out that they have deeper motivations, and like the culmination of all these things coming together is actually extremely satisfying. All the characters' motivations make sense, and it's great. And so here's another thing about My Hero versus One Piece. This will be the last thing I say, because if I say any more, I'm going to black out. My Hero Academia has quirks, right? So quirks, they're essentially the same as devil fruit in One Piece, right? Okay. So devil fruit, for people that don't know, is there's a magical fruit in One Piece, and I promise this is cooler than it sounds. You can eat the fruit, and it gives you a superpower, and that's about it, right? And
that's
then from
how
there,
Luffy's the stretchy boy, because
he ate the gum fruit, yeah. But as the story progresses, like they introduce these new systems, and there's like 7 main systems that interact with each other to have the different powers in One Piece. And you'd think that when I say that, you're like, oh, that's a whole lot. But Naruto did chakra, and the very end of Naruto is like hot garbage because they didn't think about how the series was going to end. So the very end is essentially just a Dragon Ball Z fight where they're just screaming and summoning these crazy, gigantic, colossal things, right? Because it wasn't planned from the get-go. Yeah. And the in anime critique, it's called like the war of escalation. Is that once you do power one really cool thing, kind of power creep, exactly. If we're talking in video game terms, One Piece literally built this whole thing in the first half about the fruit, and then Parker died and left the stream because his eyes are closed.
Oh no!
Rip. Oh, it's just me and you, AJ. Well, guess what, AJ? You're here in the end of this conversation.
There it is.
So anyway, they did the devil fruit thing, and it was annoying because every villain and every super person that they met had devil fruit powers. Guess what? As soon as it starts to get lame and annoying, they bring in a whole different power system that counters devil fruits, and then you're like, wait, this is perfect. What a great time to introduce it. And then there you go. So One Piece is the best anime and manga of all time. Fight me if you think you're right, because I have evidence. I have like a 20-page note document in my phone as I've been reading this. I've been reading 700 chapters in like 3 months. I am insane. So
I'm not prepared to.
Oh, Parker's alive.
There he is.
Hey, Parker.
Hey.
So Parker,
Oh, wow.
long story short, One Piece good. You should read it or watch it.
There it is.
There it is.
All right, let's do the rest of the Q&A, and then we can read that after that.
True. Okay, yeah.
Because Parker has a heart out.
I do have a heart out.
The internet.
That is not a good. That's a sentence. From Twitter, last questions. John Francis asks favorite snack food, and then he has some more questions. But favorite snack food.
Favorite snack food? Yeah, I think I like the chip category. Because like I'm not too much into sweets like that. Like if it's there, I'll eat it, I guess. But I'm not gonna like go out of my way to get like like pies and cakes and stuff like that. If it's there, cool. But if I'm gonna buy something, it's probably gonna be like chips.
Gonna go out of your way to get pies and cakes. That does seem like something you'd have to go very far out of your way to get pies and cakes as far as snack foods go.
Yes. I mean, not really, but yes. And by out of my way, I mean just spending money on them.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know which ones exactly because it depends on the day, but something within the chip variety, 100%. And then continuing on, yes, what's your opinion on more indie games coming to Switch and being better than first-party games?
I need examples there, but
apples, oranges.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. They're cool. Indie games are cool. More games on Switch is cool. I'm down.
I agree. Yeah, and then as far as them being better than first-party game, I think individually you can say this one's better than this first-party game, but that's not the same as hard to say. There's 1,500 indie games on Switch, and they're better than the 50 first-party games or something like that. It's like you can make an argument for it for quantity and whatever, but hard to really say.
Right.
Yeah, next question. If you could have any game on Switch, what would it be? Golden Sun.
The next Pokemon game.
I just want the next one. I want Persona 5, the new one coming out, to be on Switch. Because then I'll actually play it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's like there's absolutely no... And I'm not like super big on RPGs unless I'm invested for one reason or another. And I'm interested in trying Persona 5 because of the zeitgeist, and everybody's like, this game's great. So I'll check it out for that, but only if I can play it on Switch.
Yeah. And then last question from John Francis. Least favorite Switch game from the beginning of the Switch to the time this directly to you is recorded.
That's interesting, because when I first read this, I thought he was saying like most favorite in order. So like... Oh. And to answer that just real quickly, like when the Switch first came out, Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey came out, that became my favorite. Smash Bros. Came out, that became my favorite, and it'll probably never be replaced.
Yep.
My favorite probably is Breath of the Wild. I would say
the same.
Yep, you know it. Yeah, as far as least favorite, I mean, if we're talking about ones we haven't played, then there's not even
those ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty.
That's why I haven't played it. It's my least favorite.
As far as ones I've played that are my least favorite, I don't know. Honestly, Fortnite.
That's one.
You know what? That's a good one. But the probably the most honest one, because it was the first thing that came to mind, is Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah.
Rip, dude. Rip.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
And then the last question, and this is kind of Fanatics Foods related, and Eric Henley asks your thoughts on the death of Mr. Peanut. I will forever miss him. Cashew on the other side, brother.
Rip, dude. Oh my God, I hate that.
If I comment on this in any way, I'm supporting bad behavior. So
I don't know. I mean, true. What happened with Mr. Peanut? I saw somebody say something.
He died.
He's dead.
All I saw.
He became crunchy peanut butter.
This is gonna be very grim, but the only thing I saw was the tweet, and then I saw a commercial where he was
before he died.
No. how he died
Oh,
in the commercial. I'm not going to say how. It's very disturbing. Like they really went above and beyond
oh my god,
to do this thing. So if you're curious, look that up.
I didn't even know.
But
that was a
don't.
thing.
But
I mean,
don't.
I am curious though now. But
I blame Gary V because
What?
you know who Gary V is, right?
I know about Garrison V. What
So
did he do?
runs their social media, or his company.
Garrison
runs their-
Ferriston, yeah, we know.
I blame him.
Yes,
He
he
sucks.
runs their social media, and he like rejuvenated their whole, like, you know. So this is
I
just
hate
another
this.
part of that. So it's
I
his
hate
fault.
this.
Gary V
Yep.
murdered Mr. Peanut. You have a face to the
Conspiracy.
name, and it's somebody to blame for it. And you know, if you got a vendetta, there you go.
Take it up with Gary.
There you go.
Yep.
But speaking
But
of,
there
there you
you
go.
go. That's all
There
the
you go.
questions.
That was the show. We usually do video comments, but we don't got time for that
We
because
talked
Parker got stuff to do.
true, and Temtem happened and all that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So we'll catch you on the flip side.
cashew on the other side.
Good
Yeah.
gosh.
Freaking subscribe and follow Ian on all of his things, especially youtube.com/okbeast and
Hey.
also his Twitter, because
Hey.
there's good video things happening there.
That's
And-
at Ian. Why not?
Yeah,
On Twitter.
it's all in the description, man. Don't even worry
Dang.
about
Yo, hey, go for it, friends.
it. Click links
Thank
down
you.
there, you know?
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I laughed a lot. You
Mhm.
probably laughed a lot. I hope you did. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye.